basically be at the end of the game and have Will can have just massively large, especially if you just concentrate on like a few areas, he can have really high levels. Ow. Sorry, something bit me. But, you know, like I said, as the game goes on, his HP will go up, and then it'll go down, and as he gets older. But anyway, welcome to Volvalang. What you're supposed to do here, first, we're going to go into the, that's the wrong shop. That's the end. We want to go into the tool shop here, so I can just show you what's going on here. This young lady buys chips. So you can convert your chips into money. Unless you just need money, you pretty much always want to go for the better conversions here. So you can 500 chips for a rate of 1 to 6. So that's a pretty good deal. There's actually a way later on in the game to game the system to make money by making chips. Only Knights, only the Knights family can do it. Gustav can never gets to come here, so he can't do it. Never gets to go where the exploit is available. But you know, it's there if you need it. It's not a huge exploit. It's not like Taconomics in SaGa Feature 1. Anyway, what do we got here? This guy can do make custom tools if you want. And he can repair your tools if you want. And this guy's got some things for sale. Let's get a fang dagger. If you need a beast weapon, rock axe, silk togas, coral rings. Coral rings are pretty useful because they're armor that actually has, water in it. One thing to note here, things do not always cost the same amount of money. I'd like to point out, as Exhibit A, the blue water. At every other store we've come across that has sold those accessories, such as the blue water, the wind shell, and the rock heart, it has always been 100 crowns. Here, the blue water, for some reason, is 200 crowns. And if you need blue water, well, you're just kind of out of luck because there's nowhere else to go. You can't go back. Once you're here, you can't leave. Now, everyone here will talk about what happened 15 years ago. So I'll let you read. I'll go slow. But the gist of what they're saying is that 4 people arrived. There was Will's father and the 3 brothers. They went out into the desert. They found the megalith. Will's father didn't like the looks of the megalith, so he convinced them, okay, we need to go back to town and prepare. They argued about going back out to the megalith and basically looting the place. Will's father was against it. The 3 brothers were, it's our find, we need to go find it. A couple of days later, they went back out into the desert without Will's father, and a few more days later, they came back. One of the brothers was dead, was missing, presumed dead, and the youngest brother had an egg-like object in his hand, and he was missing a hand. The elder brother was just beat up. The doctor, which is this guy here, tried to see to their wounds, but when he got near him, the youngest brother went into like a rage, and he started spewing, just throwing spells off, like just everywhere. Killed a bunch of people, severely injured some. And at a certain point, Will's dad jumped in this mess, yelled his anima was stolen by the Quell, and he gathered up all the steel he could from the town. And using the steel to defend himself against the spells, knocked the egg out of his hands, and then the younger brother died, letting off a massive explosion, which is why that other young lady was like, I was pretty young at the time, but I remember the massive anima. There was an explosion. After all this, Will's dad left town, just disappeared, and the eldest brother was caught and jailed. But he disappeared too after breaking out of jail. And like he said, that's the end of the story. Presumably, Will's dad left town with the egg. Now, Peter is the one that disappeared. Nikolai is the one that came back missing a hand, I think, and throwing spells around. Which, if you think about it, is a little weird. You know, that's something that's not right there. Because he was throwing spells around, but he supposedly wasn't very good. And finally, Henry Knights. Letter. To the megalith! Apparently there was directions to the megalith in the letter. Like, okay, first of all, I'm going to point this out right now. How is that... Okay, everyone's like, oh, the megalith is kind of a legend. I'm sorry, but that would be visible from a very, very long distance. It's a desert. Deserts are typically pretty flat, with the exception of the dunes. And I do know that dunes can get pretty high. But it's a spiral structure made of white stone with a gigantic cyclone spinning out of the top. I don't know. That seems pretty conspicuous to me. Anyway, this ends this scenario. Looks like we're not going to learn anything here, though. Gotta go speak with Alexei himself. Which we're not going to do just yet. So we're going to go ahead and save. I'm going to save here. Alright. Now, since I am doing this in chronological order, there's something we gotta do now. Let's see. I'm gonna take a moment, and we're going to watch Reunion. Reunion is actually missable. a quick little scene. It doesn't actually, nothing really happens here. I mean, just get a bit of a look into Gustav. It's the guest problems for being overdressed. That actually pretty much sums up Gustav right there. You know, they don't really talk about this much, but I always got the feeling that as time went on, he started to, and as Gustav became more comfortable with himself, he got, he eased up on Flynn. See, he's... In case you don't know, that's the girl that Gustav met earlier that stepped in between Gustav and his violent tirade after the whole thing with his mother a few scenarios ago. Probably not. I mean, he probably is, I mean. Huh. Ow. Huh. Yeah, I guess he is. Gustav is, kind of, well, you know, at least he could say that he lived life the way he wants to live. But anyway, next time we're going to continue on with, let's see, I gotta double check my notes real fast and see if Mother's Sickbed or Infiltrated Alexia is next in the timeline. And whichever one's next is whatever we'll do next. So I'll be right back.